Last time I talked about how I realized I was wasting my time at Austin Veg Fest. Waiting in line would take 5 times as long as it would to just drive to the restaurants I wanted to get food from directly. So I did.
Everybody, get in line.
But after my friend and I left, I spent the rest of the day in a funk.
Something's wrong.
I remember the first several veg fests I went to as a new transplant into the East Coast. I was inflated with the anticipation of meeting new vegan friends. I was tired of being the only vegan I knew in my area, and I was determined to meet at least one person there. But in my 4 years going to Veg Fests, I never met anyone new. Fast forward to today, after leaving Veg Fest.
Veg Fest is boring for me now. I don't know.
I realized that the graffiti park I was standing in had more human interaction than the Veg Fest I had just left. I imagined a newer vegan, similar to the kind that I had been a few years before, with few or no vegan friends. Pictured them heading out to a Veg Fest, sort of going out on a limb to meet like-minded people within their new identity. They'd see a thin lineup of speakers, talking in a small and shoddily set up area. Also see other peripheral activities that encourage individualism, like yoga or massage. And then they'd see a vast area of booths, all with massive lines and all selling goods and services. If they're anything like me, they'd feel pretty uncomfortable striking up conversation. Hi, do you like diet too? In an area that encouraged, by design, individualistic consumer patterns. And I'm privileged enough not to have crippling social anxiety, and privileged enough to buy any of those things at all. And that's the problem. Veg Fests aren't designed to foster a vegan community. That is, Texas Veg Fest isn't. In fact, the Texas Veg Fest website states particularly it's a plant-based fest. And there's something deeply troubling about that, because I think a common theme in vegan recidivism is social pressure and a lack of perceived efficacy. The environment, the people around them don't support them, and that makes it much harder. These are the sorts of things a strong community helps to mitigate. I'd wager you're more likely to stay vegan if you had 2 or 3 vegan friends to commiserate with, swap recipes with, and just eat a dang meal without judgment.
Nothing can come between us.
So if you zoom out a little wider on the macro level, this isn't just hundreds of people wasting hundreds of hours in line for vegan food. It's the trade-off of that time not being spent connecting with people in the community. What I was missing was community. And it becomes even more disturbing if you put it into a context, a much larger context. I'll cover that in part 3, which I'll post next Friday. But in the meantime, tell me what you think. Is the Veg Fest in your city or state like this? Tell me in the comments below and I'll feature some of the good ones, yeah!